But we do that because things can look fine on paper. And we hear from other people, like, at least your baby's healthy. Then we could go and say everything's fine, da, 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 da. But it was really hard for me to hear other people talk about my story. It was a couple years until like my body was screaming, right? Like my nervous system was like, no, no, no. I stayed here when I moved here when it was smaller still.
Mhm.
I loved the outdoor community and there was a lot of space here. And it was affordable. And I had a good job. But really I met my husband here and sometimes we even toy around the idea of like moving other places, but like we always come back to that it's like, no, this is perfect here. There's so much sunshine. There's not mold and mildew and dampness everywhere. I like to joke that I will like go on vacations to a forest just because we don't really have that good Midwestern forest around here. But it kind of just unfolded. I grew up Midwest, Mid Atlantic. I moved here from New Orleans specifically.
Mhm.
Um, but I was just kind of finding my way and stringing together jobs. And I always wanted to live in the mountains, even when I was younger. Um, Relative to Ohio, that was the Blue Ridge Mountains. So that was like the first jump that I
Mhm.
made. And here I am now, like almost 20 years living here. I've got a little family myself. Um, and it works, even though there's a lot of interesting components to
Yeah.
it, to say the
Yeah.
least.
I
Yeah.
mean, you definitely get a, a there's an interesting culture in Utah in general. We kind of talked about that a little earlier, but I mean, the people here seem pretty nice
Yeah.
and it's a pretty safe place to live,
Yes. It
which
feels
is,
manageable, right?
yes.
Compared to big cities and
Yeah. I'm from Southern California. I grew up in San
okay.
Diego. So
Okay.
when we moved here, the energy's different.
Yeah.
It's a little like slower paced
Yes.
and people are on the
Yes.
outside. I don't know what's going on in their mind, but on the outside, they're very kind
Yeah.
to you
Yeah.
and they're nice and polite.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the roads as much,
Yeah.
but
True.
that's okay. We
People
can
are
deal with that.
wild. It's an interesting dynamic, but there's gotta be some components to it that, like, reminds me of the hometown I grew up
Yeah.
in Northeast Ohio. Um, but it's big enough and not too big, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I like that too.
Mhm.
Being from a bigger, like very densely populated area, it is kind of nice to feel like you can breathe a little bit
Yeah,
because it's not, I mean, it's growing,
yeah.
but it doesn't feel like overwhelming with people
There's
and
still so
cars
much
and
space.
congestion. Yeah.
There's still so much space.
Oh,
I
yeah.
Every time I drive into Utah, like, often from the Colorado border, I'm like, "Yeah, I would live here again. I'd move here again." And it feels like the undiscovered Colorado in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
there's so much open space. It's interesting when I hear people say, "Oh, it's so crowded in the United States." And I'm like, "No, no. I mean, there's parts that are,
Right? Right?
but just take a drive across the country and most of
Yeah.
the time you're driving, there's nothing
Yeah.
around you.
Yeah.
Wide open
Yeah.
spaces."
Yep. Yeah.
So you have 3 beautiful children
Ew.
and you are a perinatal mental health therapist.
Yep.
How does living inside the very thing that you treat, how you show up for your clients?
I'm with you. Well, I think mostly it's fed my passion to do it. So being a maternal mental health therapist has been an evolution from being a trauma therapist. I've been a therapist for a decade or so.
Mhm.
Um, and in that time had kids. And in that time really just got infuriated with like what we're up against as new moms, as working moms, all of that stuff. And it's led me to where I am now. Oh, I think that it's an important component of being a perinatal therapist is also being a parent. But I think that way too often therapists only use that to work with the population when it's the most vulnerable phase in a woman's life, to put it lightly, right?
Yeah.
It's completely transformative. Um, Even the most high functioning, overachieving, has it all together person is challenged.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it kinda evens the playing field.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the same plane. It's not like
Yep.
I mean, there's interventions that make it feel easier, but your
Yeah.
body still
Yep.
gets thrown all around in
Yeah.
this whole process, right?
Yeah.
Like, you go from puking
Yes.
to all the different
Oh,
right? All
yeah.
the different phases, and it does
And
feel like a
the
lot.
different ways even people build families now
Mhm.
today, um, it's rarely linear at all.
Mhm.
Mm. But I think yeah, so I think being a mom fed that passion because I looked at it all and was like, "It doesn't have to be this way." Like, it's as simple as education because the research is
Mhm.
there. Like, for example, premature births or NICU parents, 2 out of 3 go on to develop PTSD. The research is there. It's like, why do we send them home and tell them to wing it?
Yeah, I mean, that time
Like,
when your baby's in the NICU is a great time
it
to receive some sort of support,
yeah, it
especially the moms who are going in and sitting with their babies
oh,
for a
yeah,
few hours every single day.
yeah. I mean, it's hard no matter what, and, um, a lot is lacking. I think the whole culture around growing a family needs to change drastically. It's laughable that there is a 15-minute 6-week checkup, right, for postpartum moms, and the whole time, like, leading up to birth, it's like you're going in every week there at the end. You're like, "This place is my second home." The baby comes out, and they're like, "Cool, we'll see you one time in, like, a little over a month, and then that's it."
Good luck.
Yeah. Like, it really when you put it in certain perspectives, like, it seems archaic.
Mm.
It's like, why are we still here? So, in my work, I get really passionate just about supporting moms, whatever their hopes are and however their goals are for them, um, to just really to support I lost my train of thought there. To
Wherever
come
moms
back
are, like, you
come
love
back to it.
supporting moms wherever they are.
Meeting them where they're at, getting them the education to make informed decisions, um, really giving them words for what they're experiencing so that they can delineate, like, first off, it's not just me, and that there is help. There's help that can work really, really effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so you just said you realizing there were words for what you were experiencing in motherhood, right?
mhm.
And that was your turning point. So what were you experiencing and what did it mean to finally have this name for it?
Ah. Right now, I'm experiencing it again in motherhood in terms of like postpartum and perimenopause and like this convergence. And I'm like discovering things. Then I'm like, oh, there's words for things that I'm experiencing. um, I'm not just crazy. But backing up, I mean, after my first, I mean, of course, like anybody, like we're all like, I had no idea. I had no idea. Nobody told me about this or that. But most significantly was challenges breastfeeding and me and my personality that I'm just like, I've got this. This is just got to be my fault. Like, I just need to work through this. Not having that community. I had one mom, I thank her all the time. I'm like, you were the one that I texted about my nipples. But I was like bleeding. It took up my whole maternity leave. I mean,
Mhm.
let's talk about that, right? Like when we're recovering from stuff,
Yeah,
it's
6
so
weeks.
much. I had 12 weeks, but I
But
don't think
that's
I
still
got help at 5 weeks postpartum. And then my baby did have a tongue tie that was revised. Um, the lactation consultant that time, this is like a decade ago, was one visit. Like with my last baby, it was so comprehensive. Like I even have this interesting perspective of like what's evolved over the last decade. But
Mhm.
so I went back to work. I was starting my career really after that baby, and that was really hard. It was really hard. I had this like great idea. I'm like, I'm giving my husband like what I would love, where like I'm making all the money, paying the bills, and he's home and can do whatever he wants and have fun. And it was so hard. It was so hard. Um, the job that I worked, which could be a tangent on its own, was in wilderness therapy,
Mhm.
in working with young people in the wilderness. But back to my point, like I was a mom postpartum pumping in the field with no electricity, no running water. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Like who does that? Um with my second was, and many moms do what I'm about to do. About to say like it's somewhat traumatic birth. But we do that because things can look fine on paper, and we hear from other people, like, "At least your baby's healthy." Uh-huh, as the response when we're like, "Whoa, that was a ride." Like, I have not recovered from that at all. But with my second, he was a little bit early. I was planning on having it at a birth suite in town. Um I was really dreading the ride to town because I live up the mountain a bit. So that's part of the picture. But I was so stressed out working that job as well. I was pregnant with that baby in the field in the wilderness, carrying things like just on my own a lot. But nonetheless, he came a little bit early. Labor happened fast. The midwife didn't make it. My husband caught the baby in the bathtub. And then we could go and say everything's fine, da, 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 da. But it was really hard for me to hear other people talk about my story, like my birth story. Just right. How did things go? And what? Oh, we had the baby at home. Like I didn't like that. There was a lot to process still. And I think time had to be part of that factor too.
Mhm.
Um, I jumped back into work also after that baby. Um, it was a couple years until like my body was screaming, right? Like my nervous system was like, no, no, no. Like you can't do this anymore. I was working like 70 hours a week, like trying to juggle it all. And yeah, and I quit. And then I had one last baby after that. And he was born purposefully at home. And it was really healing to be with him longer and not go back to like a full-time, way overwhelming job.
Yeah, I've often wondered how mothers can do it because I was fortunate enough that I got to stay home with my babies when they were born, but it's hard.
When
Both are hard, but
different mothers need different things,
yeah, oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. But
Everyone
I needed to be
experiences it
home with
differently.
my babies, and I
Yeah.
knew that, and I'm
Mhm.
so grateful for the sacrifices that we made so that I could do that,
Yeah.
because
And
it is a sacrifice.
totally. And I knew I needed that. And I also know that I love when I can leave for a few hours and everyone just has to figure it out,
Mhm.
right? I also love having my own thing, so I know I'm not solely that. That's some of
'Cause sometimes
my
in those
journey.
times, that feels like that's all you got,
Oh, yeah.
because it's all
It's
consuming.
it can feel never
Mhm.
ending.
Yes, definitely.
Uh-huh.
So let's
Uh-huh.
start. Um, well, because I think it's going to be new for a lot of people listening. Tell me about, I'm going to butcher the word, but I'm going to say it.
You
Matrescence.
did great.
Oh, good.
You did great.
I didn't even
Well,
practice.
and let's even back up and talk about perinatal,
Okay.
what that
Let's
means.
start
So
there.
keep me on track. We'll get to
Hmm.
matrescence. Um, the perinatal period is technically from conception to a year or so postpartum. Um, we all know that a lot happens outside of that. A lot can happen even leading up to that
Hmm.
conception and birth. Um, I could just put the statistic in that 1 in 5 moms experience loss. It's way more common than anybody talks about. Um,
That's 20%. If we want to put it in a
yeah,
percentage, that's
yeah,
20%.
yeah. Uh-huh.
That's a
Yeah, in
lot.
any given room, you're gonna have some moms that have experienced loss,
Mm.
if not reproductive trauma, even,
Mm.
like as
Yeah.
they're trying to conceive. Okay, and then 1 year or so postpartum, the research shows that it can take up to 5 years to so-called bounce back, right? Like we're supposed to do that. In therapy words, that's homeostasis. It's like the rubber band that
Mhm.
stretches and when it goes back, returning. Um, so it can take up to 5 years. How often do we have another birth before we even hit that 5 years? And we're
Most of the time.
most of the time we're thrown back into the trenches again. So subsequent births, breastfeeding, all of these things are part of the picture. So this perinatal period can look nice and neat, but real life exists so much bigger than that. Then I start leaking into wanting to talk about like, well, what do we consider postpartum? Like I'm personally a year and a half postpartum. I could be a little self-conscious in some places to be like, oh, I'm postpartum, right? Like, what do I have to say? Like, I'm not fresh postpartum or anything. But
Well, I'm 19 years postpartum.
fantastic. Enter matrescence. Once postpartum, always postpartum.
Yeah.
Really. So that homeostasis, the idea, the bouncing back idea, P.S. We're never the same again.
Again, sister.
Right? Like our priorities completely change.
Not just priorities, but your body will never be the
Oh,
same again.
okay. So you're
The way
explaining
your body
matrescence.
functions will
Yeah.
never be the same again.
Right.
I'm
Right.
talking even just
Yeah.
after birth, after that year, after
Yep.
that perinatal time. Everything is different, and no one
Yeah.
tells you that it's going to be like
Nobody
you
tells
think
you.
it's going to bounce back
You
because
think
that's
you
what they
have
always
to
say is
prepare
bounce
a
back.
registry with little baby clothes and that's it. Well, really, we should be preparing for postpartum and matrescence in the fact that um, we're going to be grieving and grateful at the same time. So, matrescence, it is a developmental phase, so it's not just like a transition period of time. It's a developmental phase. When we're experiencing physical changes, emotional changes, relationship changes, identity changes. Who am I as a mom? Everything is affected, and the only other time in life that happens is adolescence. And I mean, we've got like full on like counseling programs that focus on that. Like there's like specific therapy approaches. It's really honored as a developmental phase, but that's to give us a sense in scope of what it's like. I'm not saying it's like another adolescence. Um
It feels like it though.
yeah, but it changes on every level similar to what happens during adolescence. And it was really when I heard that I could pronounce the word wonderfully, right? Because you're like adolescence, matrescence. It's right there. Um, okay, a anthropologist, of course. I love anthropologists. They're like the old school psychologists. They're just studying people in its rawest form. Um, an anthropologist named Dana, I'm not gonna remember her last name, but in the '70s, coined named this matrescence.
Mm.
It's been around since the '70s. Nobody's heard about it.
No.
Nobody's heard about it. And really, in my journey in motherhood, when I got that word, I was like, "Oh, okay. This is a big shift. It's hard for everyone." It's like it helped me see that gray area between, like, is this perinatal anxiety or not? It's like, "Oh, this is just part of it." So, matrescence, it was really funny. It was as I got more perinatal training as a therapist, they're starting to teach it in curriculum now. Um, and I went back to my website and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was writing about this 3 years ago and I had no name for it." Like literally the lines like, "It can feel like something was taken from you." And that's bold to say at a time in life where you're supposed to just be so grateful and happy and blah, blah, blah. Um, so matrescence can be a game changer just for how you conceptualize motherhood, even capturing into the grand motherhood or parenthood years because roles are gonna change again then, right?
Yeah.
When you
Oh,
become
yeah.
a grandparent, it's like, "Oh, who am I as a
Well,
nana?"
roles change again when your kids are all adults too,
Yeah.
before the grandbabies even. Like, I
Oh,
don't have
yeah.
grandbabies, but all my children are adults.
Mhm.
And there was a shift there too,
Yep.
because you go from being a mother to now kind of taking a step back and
There
letting
you
your
go.
kids, govern and run their own
And
lives.
sometimes it's only then that we ask ourselves, "Oh, wait, who am I again on my own?" Right? Like,
Absolutely.
what are my hobbies? What do I do if I'm not packing lunches all day? Like, what
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, so you're
it
reaching
is.
exactly to how it is lifelong. Yep,
And it's not just once or twice,
right.
multiple times. There's a shift, I
Yep,
think.
yep, and everyone experiences matrescence different. It's the same transition, um, but there's no right or wrong way. Yeah. It's just capturing something that's been unnamed for way too long.
So you said something a little earlier that I want to kind of go back to,
Mm.
that relationships change um when you become a mom. Like, they have to change in order to become a mom, right? So what does that look like and why is that so hard for so many women to navigate?
Um, it's the perfect storm, really, right? That just captures how it's not anybody's fault.
Mhm.
Um, but it's the perfect storm. Like you're sleep deprived. You literally don't have time or energy. You and a partner just are passing ships in the night. Like it's just about the logistics at a certain point. That's the nature of responsibility, really. Um, but I mean, I often where I start with partners, with people that partner together in finding each other again, during these phases, is coming back to rituals. Most of the time, the rituals that we used to do are the first things that go when we get stressed. It can be the simple thing of saying hello, giving a kiss before you leave. But if you think about your own life, right, when you're stressed, those are the first things that go.
Yeah, because
Um,
you're just in survival mode when you're
yeah,
really stressed. It's like
yeah,
all the extra stuff has to go away because I'm just trying to.
yeah. And I'm in the camp, and I know, of course, a lot of other moms are, but not all of us have family and grandparents and people that that is such a luxury to just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna drop them off." And a lot of different people don't have that for many different
Mhm.
reasons, right? Um, But that's a real factor, and it makes a difference when it's like you or your partner have been with this child for 8 years straight, right?
Mm.
Nobody, um, nobody else. So, yeah, it's so hard because it's the perfect storm, and people don't really know how to help. People don't really know what to say. The classic, "Let me know if you need anything," is not cutting it.
Is it really ever cutting it? Let's be
No,
honest. That's like the worst thing you can
no.
say to
Yeah,
somebody in
it's like,
need.
"Here's another task for you to do."
Yeah. You get to
Uh,
now figure out how I
yeah,
can help you
yeah, yep,
instead of me just showing up and
yeah.
doing something, bringing you a meal.
That's where I was gonna go to is food is always the answer, like, what to do for your partner
If you don't
that's
if you
given
don't have to
birth,
think about
bring her food. Just bring her food again and again. And it's hard to know what to say because all of this perinatal mental health stuff isn't talked about enough. We're still scared of it. I mean, our response, the public response is like, well, yeah, those horror stories, why would I listen to those of everything that could happen? It's like, this actually tells us more about the problem than anything else. Um, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about though, and then people can start to know to respond things like back to the, well, at least your baby's healthy and here, and your mental health matters too,
yeah.
right? Like balancing. So much of motherhood is balancing things that are really complicated to
And
balance.
sometimes, like, especially as a breastfeeding mom,
Mm.
you're the only one that can do certain
Oh,
things for the
yeah,
baby, right?
yeah,
So anything else that someone can take off your plate while you're doing the things that
yeah,
only you can do?
yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm in that boat too. I had 0 out of 3 babies take a bottle. This was with going back to work. Like, my husband was, like, spoon feeding milk.
Okay.
Like, half of it, like, goes down. Oh, yeah, yeah. Um, I was going somewhere else with that, though. Breastfeeding, nobody else can step in for certain things for
Yeah.
us.
So just show up and do the things
Mhm,
without asking for
mhm,
permission
mhm.
because you don't need permission to feed somebody.
Yeah,
They could just say no, that's okay, but
yeah,
it's the offering I think that
yeah.
that helps the most. Whether you're hungry or not, just somebody bringing you food and offering to just take that
It's
off
the
of your
same
plate.
things that the babies need, really, that the mom needs.
Yeah.
Swaddle her, hold her,
Yeah.
love her, feed her,
Yeah.
um, bathe her, change her diapers at times. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but
just do. It's interesting because I had someone on that was talking about the grieving process and it's very similar as far as I don't want to make a decision and tell you what I need you to do, just do
yeah.
something for me. And sometimes just sitting there and being present with somebody and letting them cry to you and just
I
letting them
mean,
know it's going to be okay.
community. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
coming back to
always
community.
here for you and it's going to be okay. I've been there. I know how you're feeling. Let's just sit here and
Yeah,
just be together
yeah,
so that you don't feel alone.
right.
Even if it's in silence, because sometimes just
Yeah.
having someone there that holds that space for you gives you the support that you need. Just that space.
Oh, yeah. More than what talking could do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's okay to say, "I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's free.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I love
Truly,
is a lot of the
truly.
things that help people the most don't cost us
Mhm.
anything.
Right?
Just our
It's
presence.
community. I mean, that comes to community
Mhm.
again. When I work with perinatal mental health clients, I'm educating them about risk factors, which are like research proven events, characteristics, history that can actually lead you to like what you need to look out for in terms of mental health struggles. Not to scare people or anything, but to educate them. Um, but protective factors are just as important, and community is the most important one. Like
Mhm.
nothing substitutes community.
Yeah. And
There's
I think
nothing
that
like,
it's coming back. I think we got
yeah,
away from community, especially during COVID and stuff. and for a couple of years, but I think we're all realizing, "No, we need that back. I want
Oh,
that
yeah.
back. Give me my
Well, I would
people."
even say, like, modern motherhood, like all of the 1900s was, um, taking away the village. Taking away the village, like, early 19 I mean, reading a book right now about all of this history of gynecology, and it's startling. Like, around 1900, sanitation becomes more of a thing, like, all of these mostly Southern Black midwives that took care of everything and nobody knew how, really, um, that was seen as not a science,
Mm.
okay? And we moved into the white male doctor and in the hospital, and everything needs to be sanitized. And mid-century, even taking the baby away from the mothers, standard care.
They used to go put them all in the nursery away
Yeah,
from their moms.
yeah,
I like,
take them
"No,
away from their
no,
moms.
do not take
So
my
what was
baby."
happening there was
Yeah,
very different than the rest of our history.
yeah.
Um, I read it was startling, like stitches, needing stitches. The doctors basically just figured out like how to take care of stitches on servants, a dozen specifically that these they were experimented with basically. And then that's when of course doctors started doing the stitches in the hospital with anesthesia. Then of course, to the white mamas, which I could even at least briefly touch on. Black maternal mental health is even more startling than maternal mental health in general. Um, the rates of death are like 3 times as much for the black babies and the black mamas.
That's
I mean, the
awful.
writing's on the wall. It's yeah, like I've said, there needs to be a huge cultural shift. I feel like right now in St. George, I'm trying to start a revolution of types. And there's a lot of different things you run up against, and back to the history piece of just how deep it goes. I mean, let's think about how midwives were illegal. They still are illegal at like certain parameters in some states. And let's not even talk about other countries, but they literally made it illegal. And now more than ever, literally right now, more than 10 years ago, more first time moms are seeking alternative options and making way more informed decisions
Mhm.
because they've gotten this notion of like the cascades of interventions that can happen. And before you know it, your whole plan, your whole dream is like the worst day of your life.
Yeah.
And we talked yesterday, and then there's candles on that day every year
Yeah,
following.
to
It's a
celebrate the
lot.
trauma
Yeah. Yeah. Of
that could
almost dying.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally for some of us,
Yep.
almost dying in birth. Yeah.
Absolutely. And most of the time, moms that are in a crisis postpartum, they had no idea the crisis existed.
Mm.
I have a therapist friend. Oh, go ahead.
I think they think it looks one way, and then
Yep.
when it presents another way, they're like, "Well, that's not it because it looks like this."
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes
Yeah.
because it's like a gradual thing too,
Yep.
it's not like you wake up one day and boom, it hits you. It
Right.
like
Right.
you kind of almost move into it to
Mhm.
a point where it's there. It's very similar to trauma and abuse.
Yes.
Like,
You don't
like if
know it.
you're in an
Yeah.
abusive
Yeah.
relationship, it's not like
Yeah.
day one, boom, here it all is.
Right.
It's like dropped on you
Yep.
slowly.
Yep.
And then like, by the time you realize what's happened,
Yeah.
you're like this deep in it and you're like, how did I get here? What's
Yeah.
going on? And why do I feel like this?
Uh-huh. Left untreated, it can take a life of its own. Yeah. Yep. Huh.
I remember
Um,
reading somewhere that folate helps with that.
yeah, and
Taking folate instead of
Exactly.
folic acid.
Exactly. One's
In your
synthetic.
prenatal, yes,
Yeah.
because folic acid is synthetic
Right.
and folate is the natural version. I remember
Mhm.
hearing that from a midwife a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so if anyone's listening, that's one thing that you can do to help yourself beforehand,
Yeah.
which I never knew, but fortunately I didn't struggle with any sort of
Yeah.
postpartum.
Yep.
I I take that back. I think I did with my daughter because she was born she was 16
Right.
weeks premature. So I think I did, but
Yep.
I had too much going on to even
No,
give in
most
to any of
people go decades without processing that stuff.
yeah.
I mean, life goes on. Part of it's the heart. That's the hardest part is everything just goes back to like normal, you know?
New normal?
Yeah. 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 Okay, here's another statistic. One out of every three birthing people experience their birth as traumatic. One out of every three.
30%.
And most of the time that comes down to like what happened could be boiled down to either one or all of lack or loss of control, um, communication issues at a really crucial time, or no practical emotional support. Just the premature birth itself can, and of course, trauma's in the eye of the beholder,
Yeah.
right? Like
Well, yeah.
people can have the same experiences and one feel that it was traumatic for them and the other one not. Um, and that's a really important piece with all of this stuff is how an individual experiences things matters.
Yes. Because we
Yeah.
all come from a different background, a different
Yeah.
perspective, and a different understanding of things.
Yeah.
So what might not
Yeah.
affect you, could really affect me
Yeah.
and make me feel some kind of way. That doesn't make you better than me. That just means that my perspective, my experience, my life up to that
Yeah.
point, that could have been the one thing, the one tipping point
Right.
for me,
Right.
where you, it's like
Right.
you're good because
Yeah.
you have support maybe, or you have these other things that make it feel more manageable. Because I was so fortunate that when my daughter was in the hospital, I had a 2-year-old at home and I could send him to friends and family and go
Ah,
visit her. Because there's no way I could take a
yes.
2-year-old with me every single day to the hospital.
Right.
And he would come once a week because
Yeah.
we didn't want him to feel like he wasn't a part of that. It just
Yeah.
couldn't be every day.
Yeah.
And he would come once a week. But if I didn't have that tribe of people to help me with him,
Yeah.
like you were just talking about,
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have done it.
No.
I had to drive 45 minutes each way to go see my daughter for
Right.
3 or 4 hours a day
Right.
and pump in the car on the way back.
Right.
I got real good at that
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'm trying not to waste time because when I get home, I want to be with my other
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
But I know that
Yeah.
that was such a blessing for me at that time because I
Yeah.
saw other mothers in the NICU that would struggle to
Mhm.
get there because they didn't have support. They didn't have a
Right.
ride or they didn't have a babysitter or
Mothers
whatever.
everywhere are managing the impossible.
Yeah. And when I hear
Truly.
those stories, I'm like, do you live near me? Because I'll come right now.
I
I'll be the
know.
mama.
I
I'll be
know.
the whatever because
Yeah.
it's so important to feel
It's so
supported.
important.
Yeah.
I think that postpartum wise, like things that are worth their weight in gold is a doula, a birth doula, or a postpartum doula. Because we can hire our village. Like
Yeah.
if we've got that option, then we can. Um, a PMHC therapist, so that's a therapist trained in perinatal mental health. I think body work is great for the whole family. How there's lots of different ways to go about that. An IBCLC, a lactation consultant is what that is. Um,
I want to say something about that. So
yeah.
if you do have a baby in the hospital, in the
Yes.
NICU,
Yeah.
that's free for you.
Yes.
I had
Oh, there's
one
tons of
to teach because my daughter
resources.
was born so premature, she didn't know how to breastfeed
Yep.
because that's something that they develop as they age.
Yep.
She didn't have that. So we had to teach her how to
Yep.
breastfeed, which took a lot of time,
Everybody
but
learns how, yeah.
I was gonna. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
teach
Yeah.
that baby how to breastfeed
Yeah.
because I was not gonna be connected to a pump
No.
for the
Right.
next 18 months or whatever,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
took advantage of that, and that was really important to
It's
me. It takes so
necessary.
much work.
I would say everyone needs some education even before you're in the throes of
Oh,
breastfeeding.
yes.
Um, and I was a person and I see every one of my friends, they're like, "No, it's fine. I'll reach out when I'm having struggles."
No.
It's like, "No, no, no.
No, 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 no.
No, no, no." So those are probably like the biggest recommendations that I have. But back to your point of like, you need a village.
Yes.
You need a village and you and your partner are going to struggle and you guys need support. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and find it in your village. Find it
Yeah.
in your community. Find it in those support groups that you
Well,
find on Facebook or
I've got some
whatever.
resources that I can share, and I don't know, maybe it's hard. I mean, it's probably the case everywhere, anywhere in its own distinct ways, but it's really hard to find your village. Even all of it, like I can own and our own my own mom life where it's like, yeah, got to cancel all the plans, that it's just life,
Mhm.
but it's really really hard. So I'll be sure to share some of
Yeah,
those
we'll
resources
get
too.
those at the end so that they're fresh when
Yeah.
we finish. So let's go into perinatal mental health. We kind
Okay.
of talked about it a
Yep.
little bit,
Yep.
but when we talk about it, what does that actually cover? Because I think most people hear postpartum depression and they think, oh, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But there's more. So what more is there?
We can have mental health struggles while we're pregnant, in the, after birth. Um, Postpartum depression gets all the attention, maybe postpartum anxiety too. Um, your own mental health history matters in what you need to be looking out for. Um, I've had I've known 2 colleagues, one a therapist and one a medical provider that literally works in the hospital, um, each experienced postpartum psychosis, and they didn't even know that they were in it at the time. Like, it's
That's kind of part of the name, right? Like you don't realize what's
oh, of
happening
course. Right, right, right.
and
Everything
it
else is
feels
the
real to
enemy.
you.
Yeah, and I wanna, like, start to paint the picture some of, like, how okay, all moms have intrusive thoughts. It's part of our biology and it helps us care for our kids. Like, oh my gosh, my baby's crying. I need to go get my baby. Um, it's wired in us. It's when thoughts it can feel like an itch that you can't just scratch, where like we start adding an action to it to try to soothe ourselves, but it never does anything. Here we're at perinatal OCD. Okay. Um, Good moms have scary thoughts. So most of the time when people are looking for support during this phase in life, they're terrified that their baby's going to be taken from them. And to be frank, if you don't go to a therapist that has this specialized training, um, I don't know. I've heard of other therapists be like, I called CPS. And a perinatal therapist is going to know that thoughts don't mean actions
Mhm.
and that all of us it's actually an indicator of being a really great mom to have the intrusive thoughts. Um, Mood swings, I mean, rage is getting all the attention now, like as a symptom, like postpartum depression doesn't look like the stereotypical way what we think it does. It's rage, it's holding it all together on the outside, but not being able to turn off your nervous system on the inside. It's childhood stuff that you thought was resolved coming back up. Um, it doesn't look like how we necessarily think it looks like. Um,
I think sometimes we call it overstimulation too.
yeah,
And it's because there's so much going on inside.
yeah.
And then when we add some of the outside stuff, it just sends us over that edge.
You get overstimulated all the time in
Yeah.
momhood, right? Like
Yes.
I can't even like complete a sentence, I don't think, in my house right now. And it's very clear to me when I just need to take a break. Us moms have to fiercely fight for it. And even if there's no other adult right around, to remove yourself from the immediacy what's going on, and to explain to our kids that this is just I've just hit a limit inside of me. I'm human. This is nothing to do with you. It's not your fault. Um, I just need to cool off. I love Bluey, the kids' episodes right now. The mom's always like, Mom needs 20 minutes. It's like, yeah, mom needs 20 minutes. But to be fierce about getting that. Yeah.
I was fierce about nap time,
Yeah.
which then turned into quiet time when we were older and didn't want to take
Yep.
naps. I'm like, okay, well,
Yep.
then it's an hour of quiet time.
Yep. Yep.
And don't come ask me. I'll let you know
Right.
when it's
My mom did the
time.
same thing. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because the asking is like interrupting my like
Yeah.
reset
Yeah.
that I think is important for us because I want to
It's
be a good
crucial.
mom in an
It's
hour when you
crucial.
guys get out of your rooms.
Mhm.
So I need an hour
Yeah.
to not be a mom for a second. Like you were just saying, like
Yeah.
take that time, create it however you have to, make
Yeah.
sure your children are safe, but
Right.
create that for
Get it.
yourself
Mm-hmm.
because my kids would go to their rooms and sometimes they wouldn't want to stay in there. And I'm like, hey, well, I don't want to start the time over
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
because it really was survival for me.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. I just had to paint it as
Mm-hmm.
you guys just need to rest for a little while
Yep.
so that you're ready to play later.
Yep. Yep. That's what you've got to do. Um, I mean, what else about perinatal mental health? Subsequent pregnancies can be totally different.
Mhm.
You
And
can,
you can feel totally different.
yeah, and you can have a harder time,
Mhm.
right? We can say to ourselves, I've done this before. This shouldn't be so hard. Um, what else is important? I mean, I think that I think that it's important to understand perinatal mental health disorders are 100% treatable. They respond really well. It's like, why isn't this built into postpartum care? Is beyond me. We've got a lot of work to do. And the work's political, wildly enough, that pregnancy is very, very political. Yeah. But we've got a lot of work to do, and we need to normalize moms asking for help.
Mhm.
Because if it's left to its own, like anything,
We need to normalize just helping mothers and not waiting for them to ask for help.
yeah.
Because
Hmm.
no matter who the mother is, if you do something that takes something off their plate, it's appreciated.
Okay, we've got one more statistic for this one. Very simple that 1 in 4 moms experience mental health issues during the perinatal period. 1 in 4. So why aren't we talking about this more?
Well, we are,
We are.
and
And hopefully there's
that's the beginning for
yeah, and
maybe,
hopefully there's a mom out there that feels like she's crazy and she realizes that she's not.
No. No, so
It's just
let's talk about that. Let's go
yeah.
there. Let's go
Uh,
now. We talked about all the things that can happen.
yes.
Let's talk about all the things that can be supportive and
Yes.
helpful. And I
Yes.
really want to talk about brain spotting and
Yeah.
somatic.
Yeah. For sure. Okay. So what's going to be helpful? Like I've talked about, a therapist trained in perinatal mental health, med management can be part of the picture, but I guess I probably work with kind of crunchy moms and they don't want to head that direction. And there's a lot of other alternatives too. It's important that your support meets you where you're at and finds out what's going to fit for you.
Mhm.
Um, Community is going to be so important. I kind of want to go to brain spotting to somatic approaches quicker than I need to. Um, we talked about 1 in 4 moms are struggling. The biggest barrier for them is just reaching out, is going out of their comfort zone. That fear is very real that it's going to backfire somehow,
Yeah.
or that they can figure it out on their own, like they probably have done with a lot of things in life. Because
Yeah. Because we do.
yeah, because we do.
It's
Because
easier
that's
sometimes to figure it out and then find somebody to help us.
exactly, exactly. So a perinatal trained therapist is going to know what to say to not make it worse, what to screen for, and what to do. And that response is really important. I went back to a therapist postpartum that I had seen previously. She was fine and I liked her and all. And um, right away I got that message of, but your baby's fine. So cute. Let me see a picture. And I knew very quickly, like, okay, this isn't going to help right now. And for a therapist to even have that experience puts in perspective how hard it is to find the right care. Um, uh,
And again, I'm gonna bring this up like I do every time
uh,
is the first therapist you go to is not always the right
yeah,
therapist for you. So
yeah.
shop around and find someone that you feel like
Mhm.
hears you and sees you where you are and
Yep.
can support you through that.
Connection is the biggest indicator of good outcomes in therapy. Do 3 consultations and sit back and just see what it feels like, even talking to each of them. Um, so med management can be part of the picture. Community is a really crucial part of the picture. Um, Education, normalizing things. But me, in my time working with moms, more and more often, I'm leaning into the nervous system more than the story. With these things that we're talking about, they're hard to put into words. You don't know where to start. Um, you logically know what happened, but there's still more to process somehow. And so, somatic therapies in general are really, really helpful for the perinatal population. They go they don't go too fast, too much. You lead the way in a lot of different ways. Um, you learn to trust yourself that you have the answers because it's humanistic innately that I'm not handing them an answer. I'm helping somebody connect with themselves and find that answer
The
that's hidden.
intuition.
What's that?
The intuition that
Yeah,
sometimes we don't hear.
yeah. And I was thinking a lot since we talked about that. I think a lot of talk therapy, sets out for you to do something like connecting with something that's inside of you in a meaningful way for it to put changes into motion in your life organically, right? That don't feel like self discipline, just work harder at it. And that is like the essence of brain spotting. Um, in my mind is that you don't have to explain it all. Feeling it is more important than talking
Saying it.
about it,
Yeah.
saying it.
So talk about brain spotting so that people understand what you mean when you say
Oh,
that.
I'll start at the top with that too.
Okay.
Because I want to go in all different directions. So brain spotting grew out of EMDR like 20 years ago and somatic experiencing. Um, we all brain spot naturally on our own. We've been doing it here as we're
Yeah. Every
talking.
time you
Yeah, every time we look around. We try to think of something and we look up at the corner. We literally like will look around when we're looking around in our brain. Uh-huh. And that's because different eye positions access different parts of the brain. So let me also put into context how important our eyes are. Our eyes are how we orient to everything. They're so complex, fragile. I mean, you know, they historically, even poetically, they're the gateway to the soul, right? Like
right.
they are so much. They're also really closely connected to our brain. Okay. Because if we have our sight, that is the first thing we're doing.
Mhm.
We are scanning, we are taking in information, we're processing things. Um, so the brain spotting uses eye positions to access different parts of the brain. We're going to do a little, this is my brain right here. This is my brain, my fist. This is our spinal cord, right? When it's like, I love the reminder of like, of course, what we think in our bodies are connected because they're connected.
Literally.
They're
Yeah.
connected. And at a very vulnerable spot right here on our neck, all of our nervous systems are running right through there, right? Neck injuries are a big deal. Okay, so back to our brain. Most of the time in our lives, we are right up here. We are in our prefrontal cortex. Logic, everything makes sense there. It's like, here's my to dos, here's my birth plan, everything's going to go accordingly. 2 + 2 = 4. I know logically what happened, therefore, everything else needs to make sense. The world, jobs, all of this is conducive to us being in our prefrontal cortex. We literally get yelled at in school when we're not. We get the slap
I
on the
do know.
hand. Yeah, get back in that logic part of your brain. Um, there was a point earlier we were talking that reminded me of when it was postpartum, I think for you, that when we flip our lid, logic isn't happening. Some people use the term like my brain's offline. It's like those moments. Like recently, I had a friend text me, but I was like, had this other stuff going on, and I like didn't even register the text. I like found it days later, right? That's when our lids flipped. Our brain is offline. We're not processing things, and we are in this part of our brain. So you're noticing it's kind of like the middle part of our brain. It's right on the top of our spinal cord, and it's the limbic system. It's emotional intelligence. It's where fight, flight, freeze, fawn live. So anytime we're chased by a cheetah, right? Our brain goes offline. This is really interesting. When we aren't in our prefrontal cortex, we can't tell what time it is. Fascinating. Yeah. When we're down here in our, yeah, your wheels are turning. So when we're in our limbic, we can't tell what time it is. The only thing that matters is where's the exit? Like I'm scanning for the exit. Maybe like a random thing that's in your face right there. You're gonna be like, okay, this floor is cold. Or however. Um, Once we escape and we are doing things beyond the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the things we do automatically. When we're running from the cheetah, we're going to be breathing still. We're not going to have to think about that to do it. But we're not going to see a clock, or we're not going to know what time it is, even if we see a clock. Um, so once we get safety, our brain comes back online. We're like, do, 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 do. Okay, so 2 + 2 = 4. This is how I'm going to heal. Let me just read a brochure. It's all going to make sense. Where I say all the time, like, this isn't where healing happens. Yeah, healing happens here, or I would even say here. And these sometimes have to catch up to what we might know logically. Um, It is an experience to be in your limbic system, in your brain. And brain spotting essentially with the eye positions helps you do that and find and access stress, emotional pain, trauma, um, and find it, release it, heal it, send it on whatever course it needs to go on that it's been stuck, because we avoid that part of our brain when we don't need to be in it. And that's where we have experiences that haven't really integrated. They could be frozen, they could be fractured, they could, yeah, just kind of be stuck there and inadvertently get in the way in a lot of different things in life.
And show up out of nowhere.
Yeah, and show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to be clear that brain spotting is not just for perinatal patients or population. And it is not only for trauma. I mean, it is great at a whole lot of things, including complex PTSD. Um, but it can be really powerful for creatives, for athletes, for sports performance, for young people that know how to feel way better than they know how to put it into words. Um, I love Okay, so what's the difference? I often am asked with EMDR and brain spotting, and each have their space. They're both somatic approaches. So I could even talk about what that means. Traditional, until a handful of last few decades, trauma counseling was really narrow in general, and talk therapy, of course, it's clinically empirical for cognitive behavioral therapy, but it might not actually be reflecting real life and what is happening. So traditional talk therapy starts with the top. It starts at the top down. It starts with your brain. Hi, how are you? What are you thinking? What's been on your mind? And if you're lucky, you'll get to the body. What does that feel like inside your body right now? Which is, yeah, you're starting to get the sense of how different an experience that is in therapy. A bottom up therapy, EMDR, somatic experiencing, brain spotting, we're going to start with the body. You're going to come in and you're going to be like, I am so annoyed. My partner didn't do their dishes again and they never do this and da 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 da. And instead of getting distracted by the story, the somatic therapist is going to say, what do you feel in your body right now? And be curious about that and see where it takes us. My clients that have done both often say that EMDR has a little more structure. Brain spotting feels a little gentler or more fluid. We need to talk about mechanism of change, like what's even going on with these things. EMDR uses eye movement. Brain spotting uses an eye position. Both of these are rooted in this idea that when we sleep, when we're doing REM sleep and our eyes are moving, that's stage 4 sleep. That's crucial. If we're not sleeping, we can't do anything. And during stage 4 sleep, we're processing, we're dreaming. And it's so random and like we never make sense of all of it. But that's what's happening during that time. Like it can be things you like subconsciously see during the day, and your brain just needs to process it. That's what we know about dreams. But these somatic approaches use that bilateral stimulation that's happening when we're sleeping to help us reprocess. So you can do that a lot of different ways. I'm doing it right now. I've got little kids that they'll just start rocking. They'll just be thinking about something and they'll just rock. It's like that's fantastic bilateral stimulation. It helps us process things. In my go-to in my therapy office is headphones that are really low, that have nature music that's going one ear to the other. And that's just an aid in processing it. It's not needed, but that gets into some of the mechanics of what's going on and how it's helping us reprocess. Um, I had another tangent there that I thought about, but I'll get back to it. Um, our brains are our brains are machines. They're very complex machines and they're always processing information. And a lot of it's related to our eyesight. And they're so intricately connected there. Um, and sometimes when we experience something that's really hard, we avoid processing it. Sometimes we need to talk to process it. I know those moments where I'm just like, I just need to vent to somebody. Like the person that's going to be the best audience for what I need right now is who I'm calling. Um,
And it's not like, it's almost like, just listen because I need to
yeah,
say this so that I
so
can
that I can
figure
process
this
it.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes with the moments we're doing brain spotting on our own, like have you ever been at a campfire and you kind of get in a daze at it
Mhm.
and it feels really good?
I do it a lot.
Yeah, that's brain spotting.
I do it at the gym. I
Yeah,
do it
yeah. It's a
a
taste
lot
of
of
brain
times
spotting.
when I'm sitting outside because I
Yep.
just love to be outside.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when I'm sitting outside, I'll just kind of like
Yep.
start to do,
So
start to
the
stare.
power of doing that, being curious, like finding that access point, being curious and having an attuned witness. So the therapist that's right there with you, even though it's pretty silent. Um, some of my brain spotting, well, even me as a client, when I've done brain spotting, I'm pretty talky. I'm kind of stream of consciousness. Um, then there'll be moments where I like go in deep and I've like literally told the therapist, like, stop, like stop, like you're getting in the way, basically. I welcome my clients to, but less is more with brain spotting. You can travel so much further in your mind when you don't have to explain it all. And the most important thing is really just connecting to that stuff and taking a good look at it. Like so many times in life, we're like, I don't know, I have these stomach issues. I don't know, this is coming up for me right now. And it's like, well, let's take a moment and really look. We might be surprised. There's more there than we think to find. So there's no really wrong way to brain spot. Um, it could be 5 minutes of a session. I have clients that do it for 50 minutes, like most of a session. That's not indicative of what it can put into motion. My clients are also processing in between sessions too. That frame is always changing. So most of the time with somatic approaches, you're going to notice shifts happening in your life faster, more organically, just like something clicks and you're like, wow, that used to bug me so much. And look at this. I'm not activated right now.
Yeah, I like that because sometimes I don't have words for things, but if I can't find the words, I can still do that work and process through that even if I'm not quite sure how to
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah. Feeling
That's the
it's more
beauty of
important.
that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an empath, so I'm a big feeler, so feeling is very easy for me to
Yeah.
do. And so I
Yeah.
think that's why, because I've done a lot of my own work on myself just because I just go without even knowing it. I
Yes.
think for me, it just felt
Yep.
like, this feels good. I'm going to do this
We
kind
know
of
more
thing.
than we think we
Yeah. Oh,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you sit there and then you think about it. And sometimes you have to say something. Sometimes you don't know what to say. So sometimes you just think about it and then you just go, oh, okay. Well, this kind of feels like this for me. This feels like that. And then you can, like, for me, it's almost like building a Lego set.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to find all
Yeah.
these pieces and how they fit together so that it makes sense. And once it makes sense, I'm done and I can move on to the next thing.
Yes. Yes. Brain spotting would be great for you. I mean, all of us even here right now can explore this. This usually, I think that was most of my soapbox, so to say, for brain spotting. I may have left some things out, but most of the time I talk about it so long and then I'm just like, let's just try it. Let's just try some brain spotting. So people listening and us, like we can just even check out, maybe it's the lights that are drawing me down here, but to just check out one side of the room, like wherever anybody is that's listening. And you might notice your eyes drawn higher or lower. Maybe think about something that's been bugging you even and notice what comes up in your body as you think of it. It's profound what can come up when we let our minds wander. Okay, and I'm kind of fast forwarding this, but check out the other side of the room. I want us to experience how truly, like, where you look affects how you feel. We talk about how we do brain spotting organically and different ways that we self spot is what it's called. Um, to just imagine a big chunk of time, like exploring whatever you're on right now and seeing where it takes you. And every time we scan our bodies to notice what's going on inside our bodies, it pulls us into that limbic part of our brain. course, right? It's connected. It's right there.
That's why
Yeah.
um, a lot of people uh, meditate
Yeah.
because meditation
Yeah.
is a form of that as well.
Exactly. Brain spotting for the insurance companies, like it's such mindfulness. It's really like mindful reprocessing. And we know how those insurance companies can be with this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Spell it out.
Right.
So I want to move. I love that we just did that because I think that's a powerful tool for a lot of people that's free that they can do at home.
Yeah.
They can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
You can do it in public and nobody knows.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to be in this certain space. It can happen anywhere, anytime.
Mhm.
Probably safest not while you're driving, though.
No, not while you're driving, and really just any opportunity of going inwards is what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the next thing I want to talk about is birth trauma.
Oh, mhm.
So birth trauma is something people don't openly talk about it. So I want you to tell us, what is it and how does it show up in the women that you get to work with?
We talked a little bit. I mentioned that 1 out of 3 birthing people feel like they've experienced something traumatic. Just startling. I know each of those statistics are startling and infuriating,
Well,
but
so high. I mean,
it's so high, and it's just like, well,
for something we don't talk about,
why
it's
aren't we
so
getting in
high.
front of
Yeah.
this? And like everybody comes from a mother. So it's like, you know, worth worthwhile for sure. Um, but birth trauma, I mean, it usually boils down to these 3 camps that I had mentioned of lack or loss of control, communication issues at a really crucial time, um, or just no practical or emotional supports.
Mm.
Right? We're just sat home and just wing it, just see
Yeah.
how it goes. Like we're headed for a
And I think
train
that
crash.
breastfeeding can be a big part of that.
Yes,
My
that's
mom
a
had a lot
risk
of kids and
factor.
she breastfed all of her children. And I was the second oldest. So I grew up watching my mom
Yeah,
be a mom like that
yeah,
and breastfeed her children.
yeah,
So I had that support when I
yep,
had my children
yep.
because my sister was 3 months old when I got married and she was like a year and a half when I had my son. So my youngest sister and
Uh,
my son are like not very far apart
yeah,
in age.
yeah,
So my mom was still kind of in that
yep.
mode when I was started having children.
Totally.
And
What a
I got to be
matrescence
there for
journey
my
there.
I got to be there for my sister when she had her
Yeah,
babies
yeah,
and support her through that because
yeah,
in the hospital the nurse was almost encouraging her not to because it was too hard or too much work or whatever she was saying. We just tried to
yeah,
ignore her and I just supported her.
yeah.
But it was frustrating for
If
her
you don't have people
because
looking out for you like that,
yeah.
you fed to the wolves,
Yeah,
basically.
which is awful. It
It's
shouldn't be
awful.
like that.
Mm-mm,
It should
mm-mm.
be if a mother's choosing to breastfeed, they should instantly send in support for
Right.
that instead of being like, "Well, you're doing it wrong. Why are you doing it like that?" Which I think is
Yeah,
number one an awful way to speak to anyone,
yeah,
much less as a nurse to a new mother.
yeah.
That in and of itself can cause trauma. Just right
Oh,
there,
yes.
that instant.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. There doesn't need to be something big or something on paper, for
Because
it to be traumatic.
imagine how we feel right after we have a baby.
Uh-huh. It's supposed
Our
to be the most
hormones
wonderful moment
are
of our lives.
But our hormones are kind of everywhere,
Mhm.
right? We have so much going on, and all we want to do is sit and just enjoy this baby. But sometimes the interventions that happen in the
Yeah.
hospital disrupt that
Oh, yeah.
and make things feel chaotic
Mhm.
and then our nervous system is like starting to go like this. And we're just trying to be
Mhm.
a mom to this new little baby.
Yeah. There's a lot of forces at work there, like the bureaucracies and the, um, even, C-sections and the cascade of interventions that can happen. I mean, it comes back around to being educated, and that doesn't entail like moms hearing horror stories and things like that, right? Like that's our response most of the time in this world, which again is more information just about what's going on than, yeah, not less. Um, okay, so birth trauma, the individual decides if they feel like something was traumatic. It's really easy for something to be traumatic during birth. Um, by nature, you can feel lack of control. It can be hard to communicate. Um, there are relatively easy steps too that could happen to make those numbers go down. And I think that's some of the movement that is starting to happen. Um,
That you're leading the charge for here in
well,
St. George?
yeah, here in St. George, but of course it's much bigger than me. There's an app these days for mom friends that's called Peanut. And Peanut has started this movement that is called um, IDGAF. I don't give a F is in the dictionary, but matrescence isn't. And it's time to GAF about mothers. But this is, yeah, the movements that need to happen. And I think that first time moms are actually stepping into this without even knowing it, as more of them want to have alternative options for birth, or they just want to have informed decisions. There's so much that nobody talks about. Even can we go there with circumcising boys? Like there's becoming a movement with young moms now, that it's like, why are we doing that? What's the purpose of that? Is this genital mutilation? Essentially, that's been socially acceptable and renowned even. Um, so these mothers are starting to stop and think. And instead of just doing what we're told, we're like, no, I mean, there's a time and place for medical intervention and it saves lives and it needs to be there. Um, and yeah, we don't need to head into growing a family completely blind.
Mhm.
So, birth trauma is rampant, and a somatic approach is really going to, I mean, PSI, and we'll talk about PSI, but it's the top recommended approach for birth trauma is a somatic approach.
Mm,
Um, birth is so somatic. Birth
mm.
is in your body. Somatic, soma is like Italian for body. So this is body based. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and the
A
changes that
lot.
your body goes through,
Mhm.
and then in turn, while you're going through the act of childbirth,
Yeah.
your mind is in a completely, it's like, it's in this state that you
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
like you're totally
It's
fight.
so primitive.
Yes. And
It's
you're just,
reptilian.
there is one goal in
Uh
mind and
huh.
one goal only, and nothing
Yep.
else matters. And this is what I'm going to
And
do.
and to
And
normalize for people that have experienced this, we freeze
mm,
sometimes, right? In those moments. So there's so much that can come with the intrusive thoughts and flashbacks and nightmares of like playing things over or saying, if I just did something differently. And the fact of the matter, especially with near death experiences, is that sometimes things just happen. There's no good reason. And there's no way to make it make sense.
and sometimes things happen that you have zero control over
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And you still feel guilt because you felt like if
Mhm.
I only did this, or if I did this different, or if I
Yeah.
did that better, or whatever, because
Yeah.
we're looking for solutions right
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
So trying to find how was I at fault in all of this makes it easier than it being just like no one was at fault. It was a freak thing.
Easier than saying it was completely out of control.
Yes.
I was completely out of control.
Yes.
Right. Because that's terrifying. And this relates to, I'm bringing together a few different topics, but in my work, we learn about those risk factors that are complications in birth is a risk factor. Um, trouble breastfeeding is a risk factor. Let's also say like teen pregnancy is a risk factor, of course, right? These are some of the examples of like some things are in our control and some things are just some cards we got dealt.
Mm.
And we can look at them and we can say, okay, that's real. Like, I got to watch out for mood swings. And untreated, it could go to psychosis, right? And of course, sleep deprivation will just make the perfect storm for that.
Mm.
Um, and there are things that are in our control, some that we can do. But what else are risk factors? I mean, it's powerful once you start to understand to see things like that. Moving, a big life event, like moving your house, the death of a family member. It's like, okay, this is part of the picture for me right now in my postpartum era or my chapter in matrescence. Um, and I need to be a little more heightened of things to look out for. So if I start snapping and just having a bunch of rage suddenly and then feeling so ashamed afterwards, I'm not going to just beat myself up. I'm going to back up and I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to go to a support group. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to go to a mom group and talk to other moms because we are literally sent out in motherhood to think it's random. I see posts
Mhm.
every single day in the mom group in St. George of people in active psychosis and people that just had their baby die the night before,
Mhm.
of people, I mean, anything that you can imagine. And most of the time, there's one or two responses that actually have resources, and everybody else is like, I'm praying for you. Uh, like they don't know what to do. And it's like, okay, for the world to know, like there. So let me mention Postpartum Support International is a nonprofit. It's in 35 countries around the world. It's reliable information. I tell every client that thinks that they're ever going to start a family, which by the way, that's when your matrescence journey starts, is when you so
Think about starting a
sometimes like it's
family.
like at 5 years old, your journey of matrescence has started because you're like, I'm gonna be a mom. Yeah, yeah, I see you. Um, but to follow Postpartum Support International on socials, that's the first step. Like you are gonna even moms in the
Even if
trenches.
you don't need it, because it might be
Oh yeah.
something that you learn something about or you get
Yes.
something from
Oh,
to help a
completely.
friend or another mother that you come across. Because
Yep.
I think, again,
Yep.
takes a village, it takes community. We need to look out for each other.
We'll see these statistics more and more of 1 in 3 have birth trauma, 1 in 4 have mental health struggles, and 1 in 5 have losses. And 2 out of 3 NICU parents are PTSD. Like this is, um, it's not rocket science. It's what I just keep coming back around to.
And it's
So,
not like a one off.
right. No, it's very
30% is
calculated.
not a one
You
off.
have risk factors. You can bring in more protective factors. You know what to look for. Um, it's not meant to scare anybody what exists. There have been too many people, not even just moms, but like moms that work in the medical field, nurses, that um experience these crises and had no idea about it.
Mhm.
No idea leading up to it. I don't know if I answered your question just a second ago. We're talking about risk factors. Um, or PSI,
I
so
was going to
Postpartum
bring that
Support
up next.
International. They have, gosh, I never can do it justice. I mean, you just got to go to postpartum.net to learn more online, and you'll see all these resources. But they have over 50 specialty free confidential online support groups. Um, so we're talking titles that are like neurodiverse moms of medically fragile kids. Like these are some of the titles. Like you're gonna find
Very niche
very
groups.
niche because there are moms. I mean, it's not talked about enough, but like um, needing to terminate for medical reasons, having to end a pregnancy early. Um, there's a group that's like Black Dads in Loss. Like, wow, okay. So there's for moms and dads. We're paying attention to culture over science. Um, 50 to choose from, free. The coolest part about those online support groups is they're made for mom life. You sign up for them. You're like, okay, I'll sign up for this and that one. When the time comes, they let in the first 16 people and then they lock the doors. So if you can make it, great. If you bail, nobody's going to even know. So you just sign up for groups until you can make it to one. It's so hard to get moms that need community to do that, but that's it right there. If you've got nothing, no
Yeah.
matter where you are, you're signing up for online free support groups and joining them the best that you can. But there's also a peer mentor program where you're thoughtfully paired with somebody else that has a similar story and made it through. You're like texting, calling whenever you want.
Like a healing mentor.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there's a directory. So the PSI directory will give you only therapists that are trained in perinatal mental health. So no matter where you are, there's virtual therapists, right? You're going to get more variety to look in your state
It's so beautiful that we
for
have that
virtual
option
ones.
now. Because think
Yes.
of people like you said you live kind of a rural,
Yeah.
but imagine
Yeah.
people that live
Oh yeah.
almost off the grid,
And the
like
therapists that are like grocery shopping with all their clients around, it's
yeah.
it's gonna be a small world. There's a lot more options than we can think at times. So there's that one-on-one support. There's a hotline, the maternal mental health hotline's on there. There's a warm line, which means you like call and leave a message and they'll call you back. You can text with them. But really in the homepage of postpartum.net, you scroll down in the buttons supports for mom, help for dad, either of those. Click on them and they will list and detail all of these different supports. They have at least 5 different ones. You can find a therapist, you can find a prescriber. Um, and mostly their socials, like the reliable information is huge. It's huge. I bet any mom that follows that will find one that's posted at some point that will stop her in her tracks and just hit home and be that key to make sense of what they experienced instead of blaming themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need to know that you're not alone
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
first.
Hmm.
And then you go, okay, if I'm not alone, then there has to be support somewhere.
Yeah.
If I'm not the only mother that
Yeah.
experienced X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
somebody has to have talked about this more somewhere. I'm
Yeah.
going to find that now.
Yeah.
So prenatal.net. Oh,
Postpartum.
sorry.
You're fine.
Postpartum.
Good to know that word.
Net.
Prenatal. Postpartum.net. And one day they have a podcast. They have the I Am One podcast,
Okay.
which is like I am one of 4, I am one of 3, that experienced XYZ.
Yeah.
And they have a awareness, it's like a walk to raise awareness. And I'm gonna have one here locally someday. It's called The Climb. And it will be fabulous.
Yeah.
But that's what we need is this whole culture around birth to shift. Yeah.
Yeah. So show up for someone who's had a baby,
Yeah.
even if it's just to sit and be there
Don't
or
even
bring
ask
a
them a
meal.
question. Just
Don't ask.
text them and
Yeah.
say, I'm dropping food off at your door. I'm thinking of you.
I'm going to leave it at the door and leave so that you don't have
Exactly. That's the catch. Yeah.
you don't have to do anything
Right.
except open the door, grab the, it's
Exactly.
like DoorDash, but
Yeah.
free
Exactly.
and with more love.
Yes. Absolutely. Maybe homemade. Yeah.
Probably, usually.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
That's the best way.
I
We all
love
like
it.
a home cooked meal.
Yep.
Because you can send your husband to go get fast food.
Right.
But a really good home cooked meal that's made with love right after you have a baby.
Yeah.
I still remember some of the meals people
Yep.
brought me. There was
Yep.
one meal that's probably the best food I've ever eaten in my life. I don't know if that would be
No.
true for today, but that day,
Yeah.
I had never put anything more delicious in my mouth
Yeah.
in my entire life.
How a woman is treated postpartum will stick with her forever.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And each of us can be that
Yeah.
guardian angel over that woman at
Yeah.
that time, just with a simple meal and a text.
Yeah. and not judgment,
Yeah.
because everybody's got way too much information about, like, how we're supposed to give birth and how we're supposed to feed and what we're supposed to do and
Yeah. Yeah, a good
all of it.
idea? "Hey, I haven't seen or heard from you in a while. How's
Yeah,
everything going?
yeah,
Are
yeah,
you good? Are
yeah.
you okay?"
And take your time answering this because that's
Yeah.
what mom life is like.
And if somebody's asking, if somebody
Yeah,
noticed that you're not around and they're asking,
yeah.
they're opening the door wide open for you to say what you need to say, what you felt like you haven't been able to say.
I mean, that brings us around to how in matrescence we like it's a wonderful time to disappoint everybody that's like benefited from our lack of boundaries. To just suddenly be like, no, I'm gonna just change my mind for no reason and not explain it. And just these new boundaries that you have to be fierce with as well to get what you need in motherhood.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And don't let somebody guilt you for what you know is right for yourself and your family.
Yeah,
Because
that's the
only you know that.
trickiest part is balancing all of the information with you, with your gut feeling. Um, and I like to joke around sometimes that at the end of the day, nobody actually knows anything about babies. Like they're the biggest mystery left, and they can't tell us about it, and none of us remember it. So
Not cognitively, but I think sometimes
we
we do.
often can remember how well, of course, how we felt in our home, smells, a certain door banging closed, maybe like some carpet or like a chair. That's how the memories are.
Mhm.
They're not sequential, episodic. Um, but it is a huge mystery, and it's as much of a science as it is an art. Yeah,
I'm grateful for some of my children's lack of memory
of course.
on those hard days, you know?
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, I think it's really good to open the door to like, let's talk about this. I want to know how you
Exactly.
felt about it because it's still important, even though mommy kind of lost it. I'm really sorry. How did it make you feel? And what can we do so that we don't
Mhm.
have this happen again?
It's a hard pill for a lot of parents to swallow that they don't get to choose how they did as a parent. Like our children tell us.
Well, because sometimes a lot of us are
Uh-huh.
healing while we're trying to raise children,
Absolutely.
or we're trying to figure out why do I feel all of these things?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to raise these kids.
Yeah.
But I think it's
Mhm.
kind of some of that, like, sometimes a memory can just wash back when
Yes.
there's a similar time frame or a
Yep.
child turning a certain age or just a similarity in
Yes.
some traumatic event can just show up.
It's so common with my clients
Yeah.
for when they see their child at an age where they experienced really hard things. And then their child is that age and they're just thinking, oh my gosh, I lived this whole life thinking I deserved that. When I'm looking at my daughter at X years old and she is so innocent. There's nothing she could do in the world to deserve that. So it makes us have to reparent ourselves and pregnancy itself amplifies our past. It all does. And everything after. Um yeah. I think to myself, I'm like, of course this is the most fascinating part of human development to study as a therapist, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Um
imagine how much changes from conception even to birth in
so
just that baby's
that's why we come
body.
back around to like this is the most vulnerable time in a woman's life. Um and fascinating then to think about menopause.
Oh, I'm
And
thinking about it.
yeah, yeah. I had mentioned yesterday about how I had recently learned from a TED Talk that um, whales are one of the only other mammals that have menopause. And at that toothed whales, so narwhals, that the one with the
With
tusk?
the yeah.
Um, belugas,
Yep.
orcas. Yeah. Um, other mammals outlive their fertility, but they don't menstruate, so it's not called menopause. Whales do. I
I had
didn't
no
know.
idea that
I
whales
know, like,
menstruated.
nobody is I have never once seen, like, the underwater beautiful picture of whales with, like, a huge blob of menstruation, like, they skipped that. We could make sex ed so much more useful and fascinating in school.
Yes. Have you seen I just recently saw videos, they could be AI, I don't know,
Okay.
of a whale, like a humpback whale
Yeah,
feeding its young,
I
and it's
saw it.
just dumping milk, and
Yeah,
the whale just opens its mouth and sucks it into its like,
yeah.
fascinating. I don't know
These
if
are
it's
the
real or not. Is it
most
AI? Is that real?
No, I think it's absolutely real.
Okay.
Yeah. Whales breastfeed for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know if it's called breastfeeding, nursing. I don't know.
They
They have
nur
breasts?
nourish their young?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. We have so
No, that's
much
what
to
I'm saying,
learn
like,
from
I don't
nature.
it almost looks like it's just an opening that opens, and
Yeah.
then here comes the milk, and then
And
they
then the milk's like in the water,
yeah.
underwater. So it's like, what are they even?
But supposedly it's really thick, so
Yeah, the
as
colostrum.
the baby, like, slurps
Yeah.
it up, they just get milk and they don't get the salt water. I don't know. Fascinating, though.
Magic.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And I wanna hit one more thing about
Yeah.
breastfeeding that
Yeah.
I hope that most women know, but I
Yeah.
love this about breastfeeding,
Yeah.
is that your breast milk knows what your baby needs. And your breast milk your body will create a special formula if your baby's starting to get sick. You like if you pump, you really can see this because
Yeah.
it changes color as things are happening with the
Yeah.
baby. Um, but to know that your body is such a miraculous vessel
Mhm.
that can create this special formula for this itty bitty tiny baby to keep it alive,
Exactly what
to
they
give it
need.
exactly what it needs
Yeah.
anytime. If they're starting to get sick, let's pump it full of
Yeah.
antibodies to help this baby stay
They
healthy.
communicate, like, their
Yeah,
cries, their latch, they're communicating with what
even
to
just
make.
touch to skin.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like there is no denying that a mother and a child,
Yeah.
there's an instant bond there, especially when you
Well, they
breastfeed.
were
I feel like
connected,
it's well, yeah.
literally.
Yes, but like as your child grows, that doesn't have to go
Right.
away. That connection can
Yeah.
stay. And actually, in my
Absolutely, it's
experience,
figurative.
breastfeeding has caused me to have the relationships with my children that I have that are so
Wonderful.
close
That's cool.
because that bond that happens is
Yeah.
unbreakable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like with my daughter, it took longer and it took more work and it
Yep.
took more effort
Yep.
and it took more time for us to bond too.
Yeah.
And that was very hard for my heart,
Totally.
but we did it.
Yeah.
We're in a good place now. She's 22 years
Yeah.
old and she calls me her bestie, which I think is so
Mhm.
sweet. But it's just breast milk is just one of the most miraculous liquids in the
Amazing.
entire world, as
Yeah.
far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many moms think, "I'm empty. They're not getting enough." Like, okay, your breasts never empty all the way. It's the, ice maker in the fridge. You know how the ice maker works?
Give it a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, when you take some out, it's dumping more in already. So
Yeah.
that's literally how the milk production happens. Well, and, I'll mention with breastfeeding that to think of to just think about our babies can make a letdown happen.
Hear a baby cry in the store.
Imagine what our other thoughts do to us.
I love that.
Like it just puts it in perspective so powerfully. But no, yeah. It's the biggest mystery of the world, I think, still, this whole perinatal phase and matrescence. And it would be really cool to see because things are developing fast.
I think we're having more conversations
Yeah.
for women now.
Yep.
When I was growing up and when I was having babies, like you only heard about it in those circles of other women in the
Yeah.
same place. But I think now society is realizing, oh, we actually need to pay attention to menopause.
Reluctantly,
And
but yes.
yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
okay. It just
Yeah.
needs a few of us to be loud and annoying, and then they start
Exactly.
listening. And I'm okay to be loud and
Yeah.
annoying.
We'll get there.
It's kind of one of my purposes, maybe. I don't know. But I
I
know
love
that
it.
like I was given the voice and the platform that
Yeah.
I have been because it's important for us to talk about a lot of these things. So I really want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your knowledge and your understanding of these things with us, and
Yeah.
then talking about things that can support women through these times in their life until we have better support. There's the current support, which is still great. You just have to look for it a little bit more as a
Yeah.
mother. And just know if somebody's coming to you and saying, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a minute. Are you doing okay?" That's an open invitation
Yeah.
to tell them if you're not.
Yes. Well, and I'll say on the other side of that, that if somebody in the perinatal period comes to you and is really in a hard spot and asks for help, to send them to the PSI website for them to find a perinatal therapist, to get the help that they need, the help that will effectively work relatively fast.
Yeah.
Um, because that might be the only chance, really, is
Yeah.
what it comes down to. Like, yeah, it might be their only chance. Like,
Might
mom,
be the
we
only
don't
time they reach out to
exactly.
anybody.
We don't reach out much,
Yeah.
and it might be the only chance, and it will be really hard to know what to say or what to do. Um,
But just remember some of the support pieces we've talked about today, because I think that's like, even if you're not in that phase of life yourself, I think it's important to always know about those things when you have people in your circles that
yeah,
are, and to be that one that notices when a mama just had a baby and she's not around and she's not in the groups and she's not
when
showing up to
she's not
anything.
gonna
And
be. I'm already gonna know that, right? Like, there's gonna be a
yeah,
place where she's not gonna be, and it's
it's okay to still reach out even if
yeah,
she's okay. It's
yeah,
okay. Like, I think that we just need to reach out more to each other so that we do feel supported and we
absolutely.
don't feel like, because sometimes like in our mind
Oh
we
yeah,
feel like, oh, we just gotta
yeah,
to say a phrase we use in our house,
yeah,
which is used as a joke most of the time, thug it out.
yeah,
You just like, you just
yeah,
gotta figure it out on your own.
yeah,
You don't.
yeah.
You don't.
No, you can't.
Oh.
Yeah.
So thank you. Let's share with everyone. I want to give them just a list of these websites that you've talked about, and
Mhm.
then where they can find you, and
Perfect.
then some of your socials if you want. And we'll also
Perfect.
put them in the show notes.
Cool. Cool. So Postpartum Support International is the main resource. Countless specifics in them, but the place where you can find a perinatal certified mental health therapist, and that's postpartum.net. Postpartum Support International is on all kinds of socials, and it's a great lead to find a lot of other really great resources as well.
Good starting
It's
point.
a good yeah, it's a great, diving board to jump off of, because what's on our feed really does matter, especially as moms, just getting through the day. And so there's a plug to just refine all of your follows while you're at it. But Postpartum Support International, I always want to just shout it from the mountaintops, because more moms need to know about it, even for the mom groups to be able to reply and say, here's the support for exactly what you're going through. Um, my website is trinagrater.com. I'm located downtown St. George. I do in person here and online across Utah. I specialize in perinatal, matrescence, and adolescence. Um, and with, a even more niching into advanced maternal age, birth trauma, and loss. Um, and I just resuscitated my Instagram and I'm using it again and renamed it. And so I'm really excited to introduce Check on the Moms is
Mhm.
the name of that Instagram handle.
I love that.
And every day I'm sharing um, just the seemingly most basic information that needs to be common knowledge
Mm.
to everyone, not just moms.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for
Yeah.
taking your time today. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us, because I really love what you're doing, and I know that it's important.
Mhm.
It's important to me. And so
Yeah.
we're going to just share this. And then when it posts, you get to share it everywhere too. So that's
Great.
great too.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you so much,
thank you
Trina.
guys so much for having me. It's wonderful what you guys are doing and to have found you guys and to be connected.
Thank you.
Mm.
If you're experiencing perinatal life and you need some of these resources, remember to reach out and you're not alone. And there's always someone there that wants to help. If a friend reaches out to you, tell them if you need help. Thank you and God bless.